Hey, hey, hey. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I am Sabrina Irene, and I am live for Heart to Heart. Let me turn this down. I'm going to wait and see who joins me, and I will be getting started in a couple of minutes. And if you will be watching the replay, just let me know that you were catching the replay. I'll be coming live every Thursday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And it is for Heart to Heart. So, as we know, it's 2024. It's a new year, and I don't know about you, but every time there's a new year, I always want to, take the opportunity to, assess my previous year and, set new goals. Not that we need a new year to set new goals, but it's just a good like reset, right? Because we can start and set new goals, every day, really, right? But I love, just having a fresh year, a fresh start to, really assess and to, create new goals and to work towards those goals, right? So this is Heart to Heart. So one of my goals for this year is to be more consistent on social media and, showing up for you all. And if you are new to me, I am Sabrina Irene. I am a relational trauma recovery coach, and my overall goal, purpose, and mission is to help you to restore your heart, recover your soul, and renew your hope after experiencing relational trauma. Okay, so this is part one of letting go in order to move forward. Because, as we know that, when we want to go further and we want to, do things differently, a lot of times there comes a letting go process. And it can be a number of different things, right? But specifically for tonight, I am talking about letting go of toxic relationships. Letting go of toxic relationships because, relationships are one of the main things that can really hold us back from just living the life that God has for us to live and, being the person that God has intended for us to become and all of that, right? So letting go to move forward, and we are talking about letting go of toxic relationships. Okay, so I'm going to get started. Hey, Tina, thanks for joining. I'm going to go ahead and get started. And again, if you catch me on a replay, chime in, let me know that you watched. Also, if you have any questions, any topics you want me to discuss, moving forward with Heart to Heart, feel free to inbox me and let me know what you would like me to discuss. Okay? All right. So let's talk a little bit about toxic relationships. What is a toxic relationship, really, right? Because we can see on social media, everybody talking about toxic relationships, all of this stuff. So what really is a toxic relationship? A toxic relationship is a relationship that is detrimental to your overall mental, emotional, and or physical well-being. Okay, so that's what a toxic relationship is. It is a relationship that is just not good for you at all, right? Hey, Auntie. So why is it important to recognize, you know, what it is and when you're in one? Because I'm gonna be honest, when I was in a toxic relationship, the first time that I recognized it, I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't know that it was a toxic relationship until I started asking some questions and I started doing some Googling. I'm like, is this normal? Like, should I be, feeling this way? Should I be, going through this right now? So I didn't have the awareness. But look, knowledge is everything. So when we open up our minds and we are, educating ourselves on different things, then, we won't be ignorant anymore because ignorance is not bliss, right? So, so why is it important to recognize when you are in a toxic relationship? Number one, if you don't recognize it, then you don't know how to protect yourself, right? You don't know how to set boundaries. You don't know how to, be on guard, and be aware of these things that are going on. And if you're not aware of it, then you cannot protect yourself from it, right? You're so right. Yep, ignorance destroys us, and it really does. It really does. So, and being in a toxic relationship, and if you ever been in one, let me know. Let me know if you can, relate to this, right? It can have you feeling like you are just in this, it feels like a war zone, kind of, right? Like this mental war zone, and like you don't really know, you don't really know if you're coming or going, right? Because it can have you just like all twisted, like your mind is twisted, your emotions are twisted, and you can't even, see the break of day, right? But I am here tonight to shed some light so that we can come out of that ignorance, right? Because it's 2024, you got stuff to do, we got goals to accomplish, and we don't have time to be in these relationships that do not add to us. So we have to, drop the dead weight so that we can move forward. Hey, lovely. Thanks for joining. So yeah. So it's important to recognize when you are in a toxic relationship because ignorance is not bliss. And if you don't know, then you cannot address it. Okay. So I'm going to go over a few signs of toxic relationships. So sign number one, there is a lot of manipulation. And just going back to what I was saying before, like the mind tricks, the games, and all of that stuff. A lot of manipulation, gaslighting. That's a term that's used a lot, and sometimes it's used in the wrong way. But gaslighting is basically when someone is making you question your own reality, right? So gaslighting is you're having a discussion with your partner, and you know you tell that you're, I don't know, I'm just trying to use an example. You say the sky is blue, right? And your partner says, is the sky blue? You didn't just say the sky was blue. And you like, did I just say the sky was blue? I thought I said the sky was blue. No, you just told me that the sky was purple. I heard you tell me that the sky was purple. And you're like, no, I thought I told you that the sky was blue, right? So that's just a light example of, what gaslighting is. Like you start to, really question, what if what you're saying is what you said, or it's just this whole twisted mind game, right? So manipulation, a lot of blaming, shaming, insults, things like that. It could be a lack of affection, like withholding affection, like as a punishment. And in these relationships, you just feel unseen, you feel unheard, you feel devalued, and the person is actually doing this on purpose to, as a form of like punishment or something like that. So if you're noticing any of these things, that's, one of the signs that you are in a toxic relationship. Okay. And I want to hear from you. So if you've experienced any of these, let me know, or let me know if you've experienced something different than, some of the things that I'm talking about. Also, a lack of trust and a lack of respect, right? So if you have to consistently, prove yourself to your partner, right? If you have to answer a lot of questions, like you can be going to the store and your partner is calling you like over and over and questioning, if you are where you said that you were at, right? They're FaceTiming you to just check in and make sure that you're where you said you would be, right? So that's not good. That's toxic. That's toxic. A healthy relationship involves being able to trust. And if you feel like you can't, breathe because your partner will be upset, and you can't get away, you can't, live your life, then that's a sign that you're not in a healthy relationship. What else? Constant negativity. Like, it's just always an argument, always a fight over like small things. It can be, what I noticed in previous relationships is that it can be like just something like, why is the heat on, and it's the heat is on too high, or something like that. And something that small can just turn into this big thing. And before you know it, you're in this like screaming match, or it's just escalated to the point where it doesn't even make sense. And before you know it, you're not even arguing about, what happened. You're arguing about the fact that you're arguing, right? And then it can go just haywire, right? Yeah, my husband was crazy jealous every time I stepped out the house or we had company. Yeah, and that's no way that a relationship should be. We should have freedom to go and come as we please. Of course, there's a level of respect where you should, I think, if you're in a healthy relationship, it's okay to let your partner know where you are and to check in or whatever, but it should never be to a point where it's so extreme that you feel like you can't even, live your life, right? So, yeah. So constant negativity, you feel like you are on just this emotional roller coaster, and that's just no way to live, right? And lastly, the sign, of course, is physical abuse. If it ever comes to a place where there is physical abuse, then it is for real time to go. It's time to go. Don't play with it. Don't play with your life like that. It is time to go. You have to create some distance, okay? And a lot of times before it even gets to that point, there is the emotional abuse. There is the gaslighting, the questioning, the jealousy, all of that stuff, right? So when you start to recognize these signs, it's important that you, take note and really, see and be open to, what's really going on, okay? And sometimes, it's hard to see that while you're in it, because like I said, it can feel like a war zone. Like you're just, you're just trying to get through the day. You're just surviving one day to the next. And what makes it confusing is when there are good times, right? Because let's keep it real. There's no relationships where like every day is terrible. So in these type of relationships, you may have a week, 7 straight days of just like all of this behavior, right? And then you have a good day where you're getting along, everything is going good, And when you have those days, you're like, okay, well, maybe things are good. Maybe it's not so bad. Um, you know, we're still in love and all of this. Every relationship has problems. No relationship is perfect. They've been there for me. Through all of this, and I've been there for them, and all of this stuff, right? So you have a good day, and just everything just feels like bliss, right? And then, but it's a cycle. It's a cycle. It's called a cycle of abuse, right? The good days don't last that long. So I just want to say, don't let the good days make you forget about, you know, all of the turmoil and the pain that it's causing you. It's also hard to see when you have your own trauma that you are unaware of or haven't healed yet. Yeah, that's so true. And a lot of times we end up in these toxic relationships because of our own unhealed trauma. And a lot of times, it's familiar, right? When we have unhealed trauma, it's the way that we can think is not. We can think that something that is normal for us is normal. And, that's where the healing process comes in, where we have to really, renew our minds and to, educate ourselves on, what's healthy and what's not healthy. Those types of people have a way of making you want to chase that high. Yes, those good days that feel good in the moment. That's so true. That's so true. Yes, it's like you're chasing this high that's never really going to come back. And that can go with, like that's how people get, substance abuse, right? Because you're always looking for that same first initial feeling, and it's gone. It's gone. It's not coming back. And then you have these little moments where it's like, oh, that you get that dopamine effect, and then it goes away again, right? So it's like you're that's what a trauma bond is, right? When we're having these good feelings, but then it's taken away. So we're chasing again the good feeling, and then it goes away again, right? And then it's like this cycle. So that's so true. All right. The impact of relationships, toxic relationships that they can have on our mental and emotional health. Depression and anxiety, right? These moments you're just anxious, you're on alert, right? Because you don't know when the next shoe going to drop. You don't know what's going to happen next. Things are going good, but you still anxious because you don't want it to go bad again. So you're like trying to do all the stuff, make sure that everything is good, right? So it can have you in that anxiety. Depression, the low moments where you're like, it can have you just, because a lot of times with toxic relationships, the shame and the blaming, the finger pointing, right? It just chips away at your self-esteem over and over and over again. So you start to feel bad about yourself, right? And when you have low self-esteem and you feel bad about yourself, then you feel depressed. And there's so much going on, like, in the world in itself, right? And you shouldn't have to come home or be tied to someone that's just causing you just unnecessary, stress and turmoil and, emotional damage, right? You may start to have PTSD symptoms, which is very real, like nightmares, reliving things, right? Higher stress levels, which can cause like physical health problems. And, it's just like being in a toxic relationship just causes a whole lot of just damage to your mental, emotional, physical health, like period. So We don't got time for that. We got stuff to do. It's a new year, and we gotta let go. We gotta let go of these relationships that are not helping us, that are not adding to us, that are only taking away from us, because that is not the will of God for your life at all. At all. All right, give me a second. I'm gonna get some water. Okay. So, if you've listened to, everything you heard me talk about, and you realize that, this is you. You realize that you are in a relationship that is toxic, that is not healthy, and, you're recognizing like these similarities. So, I want to give you a few tips, some things to do, okay? Self-care. It is so important that you are prioritizing your own self-care. Like, even if you are not at the point where you are like ready to end the relationship and be done with the relationship, because sometimes it takes time to get to that point. So I'm not, trying to say like, just go. If you can, yes, I always say just go. But if you are not at that point yet, then that's okay. But while you are in it, you can still prioritize yourself. And what does this look like? This looks like mental, mind, body, spirit. Think of it like that, right? So every day you wake up, think of something you can do for your mind, to feed your mind, right? And a part of feeding your mind is, if you are watching this video right now, you're feeding your mind because you are getting information that maybe you didn't know before, right? Reading books, spiritual, pray, meditate, build a connection with God, your creator, and let him, pour into you and tell you who you are and tell you who he created you to be, right? Body, take care of your physical health. What are you eating? What are you putting into your system? Are you getting some exercise, right? So start there. If you realize that this is you, it is so important that you start to prioritize yourself. Set boundaries. Start setting some boundaries. One thing is, when you are in a toxic relationship, it's so easy to get sucked into these arguments and these disagreements, and you find yourself trying to explain and trying to prove and trying to fix things and trying to want it, make it better, right? Setting good boundaries, I would say, involves you not getting so sucked into trying to fix it, right? Because if you could have fixed it by now, it probably would have been fixed, right? So shift your attention to fixing yourself, to working on yourself, to taking care of yourself. And in doing that, you may find that you gain a little bit more strength. Because when I was in a toxic situation, I began to, like I mentioned earlier, I started to Google, I started to, really educate myself on, what's going on here. Like, is this healthy? Am I supposed to, be in this? And I was still there. I was still in the relationship. But I started making some changes. I started reading more. I started praying more. I started journaling. I actually started, even after like an argument would happen, I started documenting like what was going on, because a lot of times, in those relationships, you can forget, like I mentioned earlier, like you're in this argument and you forgot what it was even about, right? So a good way, for your own mental health and your own sanity is to start, writing things down and, replaying things and, trying to pinpoint, what happened and what's going on. Okay. So setting boundaries, Being clear on your boundaries, communicating your boundaries in a calm manner. So if you feel like you're getting too worked up, take a few deep breaths and then come back to it and be able to communicate exactly, what it is that's going on. If you feel like it's not going anywhere and it's going to transition into a big heated argument, you can table it. You can say, you know what, I'm not going to do this right now, and you can walk away from it. Right? So that's a good way of setting a boundary. What else? Start creating healthy relationships with others. Start to branch out a little bit, because sometimes in relationships we can, make this one person just everything, right? But that's not healthy. That's not how it should be. You should have friends. You should have outside people that you can talk to, family even that you can talk to. So, start embracing healthy relationships with other people. Also, talk to a therapist. Get some therapy, get some coaching, all of those things. Build your support system. It's so important to have support. We are not meant to do life alone. We need community. We need each other, right? So, be around people you can trust. Build your support system. When you treat yourself better and start healing your mind, body, and spirit, it will be easy to leave, because that person won't be attractive. Exactly. Won't be attractive in any way to you anymore. And that's so true. And that's why I say that, Tina, because, as you start to work on yourself, start to build up your own self-esteem, all of this stuff, you looking at this, they won't even have the same effect on you anymore. I'm not even about to entertain that, because you do lose this attraction to that person, because as you heal, as you grow, as you get better, what you're attracted to changes. So that's so true. It is important to build your village. Yes. So important. So important to build and strengthen your support system. What else? Oh, also, so in with saying that, you know, if there is any type of physical abuse going on, any physical abuse, it's important for you. I think I mentioned it earlier, but yeah, don't play with that. There's no setting boundaries in a physically abusive situation. There is, but a lot of times once it gets to that point, then it's just dangerous. It's dangerous, and it's time for you to go. Right? So you need help with that. You need to create an exit plan for that. Get support. Call the domestic violence hotline. You can call your local county domestic violence center. I'm gonna give you the number right now. It's 1-800-799-7233. 1-800-799-7233. That's the domestic violence hotline, and they can link you with some services in whatever area that you are in. And I'll also put the number below this video as well. Okay. So let me see what else. I think that's it. I think that's all I have right now. I wrote down a few other tactics that a partner that is toxic, what they'll do, like in relationships and things, right? A lot of sarcasm, right? This is something I've noticed in a few of my relationships. Like, there's a time for joking, right? It's okay to joke and stuff like that. But if it comes to the point where if you're serious and you really want to be heard and you're really trying to make a point, but this person is just being sarcastic, it's constant invalidation, just making jokes that you don't really find funny, things like that. That's a tactic, and that's not healthy. If you let them hit you once, it will continue. That's why I left. You've only got one time to hit me. I know that's right. Look, don't play with it. Do not play with it at all. So sarcasm, distorting what you say, that's another, the gaslighting thing. Like you can say one thing and they twist it all around to something completely different. And they ain't going well. You ain't say that. And they just making it something completely different. You're like, and that's when you start to question yourself if you're not, mentally strong in those moments. Like you start to question yourself, like, what did how did we even get here? The accusations, the trust issues, not listening or refusing to respond. Look, that is a trigger for me. If I am talking to you and I'm asking you a question and you are like really ignoring me on purpose, like that's so rude. Like that, look, that is the worst. That is the worst. Like, so like little childish behaviors like that. Playing the victim, like they're the victim, or it's always something, wrong. And I try not to use the word narcissist a lot just because I feel like it is so overused. And everyone isn't a narcissist, and that's actually a diagnosis. It's actually a personality disorder, and everyone isn't narcissist. Some people are just toxic and immature, right? A lot of yelling, like they can't even, have a conversation, and it's just everything is like yelling. Even if you might be talking in this tone, right? But they just feel the need to get loud, right? Because they feel like, it's a control tactic, when they're louder, that makes them feel more, powerful or more in control, right? Laughing at your opinion or perspective. In other words, like belittling you, right? Intimidation, like belittling you, like nothing you say is right. None of your ideas are good, all of that. Blocking a doorway. This happened to me before. Like if you feel like you are trapped in a room, like that's not good. That's not good at all. Like that leads to the physical abuse. Like if you can't get out of a room, if you're trying to distance yourself from a conversation that has just been going too far and they're blocking a doorway, like that's an abusive tactic. And also name calling and throwing insults. That's another tactic of an abusive person or a toxic person. And so those are the signs that you are in a toxic relationship. And it's just so important to, first, like I said, recognize, what it is, and, really start to work on yourself, build yourself up, get some therapy, get some coaching, you know, if you want to book a discovery call with me, I'm doing free discovery calls. Just send me a DM because I'm working on getting my website revamped and everything. So just send me a DM. We can get on a Zoom call for about 30 minutes. We can talk about what you have going on. I do offer a few different programs. I have a 12-week program. I also have a 5-week program. So that is all I have for you tonight. Thank you for those of you who have joined me. Thank you for those of you who will be watching. I'm sorry, I'm going too fast now. Hold on, let me drink some water because I'm starting to talk a little bit too fast. Okay, so what was I saying, Lord? I lost my train of thought. Hold on. Okay, so next week I will be back on live at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and thank you, Tina. Eastern Standard Time for another Heart to Heart, and I'm going to be talking about a different topic next week. I will announce it, so stay close to my page. Like I said, if you have any questions, any comments, any concerns, any topic you want me to address, any questions you want me to address, I will answer anonymously in my next live. And yeah, so let go. It's time to let go of the toxic relationships. It's time to focus on you because, I really believe that God is about to do some big things for his people, in the upcoming this year, right? And, but a prerequisite, right? Can't say that word. Is letting go in order to move forward, whatever that is for you. It may not be a toxic relationship that you have to let go, but you may have to let go of some negative thinking. You may have to let go of procrastination. Talking to myself, right? So there's always something that we have to let go in order to move forward, in order to go to the next level. All right. Well, I love y'all. Thank you for joining me, and I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.